This week has been one of the hardest, loneliest, toughest weeks I've ever spent off grid. This week started off simple. The weather forecast wasn't anything crazy. Maybe some colder weather towards the end of the week. But that's not how things went. That's not how things ended up. This week was hard. I have a tendency to overdo it, to go beyond the limitations of my older, worn out body. And sometimes I go to that point of no return, that point in which you're down for the count, and everything you're working on, no matter how important it is or what kind of a deadline you're on, it's done. It's not happening. To make sense of how I got here, to understand this profound failure, you've got to go back 3 days when this was a different story altogether.
So I was just getting ready to build another fire, and I think I found a problem. I don't know why I didn't notice it before. So I put this sign. So when I built this, I knew that I needed, they say you can put, 6 inches distance between the back of the stove and the wall, which is what I have here. But I still noticed that this pine was sweating a little bit. So I put this sign up to keep from having a fire hazard with this yellow pine. Because these pine can have knots in them, and where those knots are, there can be that's really rich, so that sap will come out and it'll catch on fire. It's got a lower ignition rate than the actual wood. So I put this metal sign up and spaced it off the wall, and it's done great at keeping the heat off the wall. But I just noticed something. If you look closely, this is a sign that you buy at like Bass Pro Shop or somewhere like that. If you look closely, this sign, I thought it was a metal sign, but I'm looking at it, and this is metal out here and metal on this side. But in the middle, it looks like it is plexiglass, which has probably a high ignition rate, but higher than the pine wood. But once it catches, it would be a nightmare to put that fire out. So I haven't noticed any damage to the sign. I don't see where it's been dripping or anything, but I think I've got to do something about it. And if I've got to do something about that, I've either got to get another sign that's all metal, or I need to just totally redo everything behind the wood stove. As you can see right now, it's been very cold outside. Cold for Arkansas. It's not, if you're from Canada or Alaska, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but it's cold. It's 18 degrees this morning, and I got up to build a fire. I run the mini split at night to keep warm without me having to worry about keeping a fire going at night. So last night I ran the mini split, woke up this morning and I was like, man, I'd really like to build a nice hot fire all day today. But now that I've noticed that, it's a safety hazard that I think I'm gonna have to fix that today, or at least start on it today, since we have sunshine, and I'll have plenty of heat through the heat pump and I'll have plenty of electricity. I should be able to run the heat pump all day and have full. My batteries are at 62%. They'll be 100% when the sun goes down. I think I'm going to start ripping some of this stuff out and redo it. That light switch is obsolete. I can probably delete it. And these lights up here work off of an app on your phone. So there's really no need for me to even have that light switch. I just put it in to be cutesy when I was building the cabin. But I love wood burning stove. I just don't love the fire hazard. I have a hard time going to sleep at night when that thing's ripping and roaring because of that pine. So I think I'm going to work on that today.
The first thing I'm going to have to do, the first thing I always end up doing, is tearing something apart. Something that I spent money on, something, the shell of pine, installing it, the time it took to make those cuts, to put that wall in, that electrical outlet, that wall switch for the lights. All of this took hours to run the wire, to wire it, just put in the tongue and groove. But it's all got to come out. All of it. So the first thing I got to do is gut everything. Looking at this cross brace, I thought about how the hot air would get trapped in there and how I didn't want that. So this was an idea to drill holes through the cross brace, which would later lead to a complete system that I come up with throughout the entire build.
See how this sap was coming out of this knot and this line? When it's coming out and running like that, it's real close to catching on fire. So that's why I put the sign up. And you can see where it's just coming out of this wood. But that's when I put the sign up, and then the sign was evidently made out of plexiglass, which I didn't know.
Now, I had footage of me going down to the river, picking out rocks and all this hoorah. But long story short, I lost it. I don't know if I deleted it or where it went. I also lost most of the build, it looks like. After ripping all the boards out and drilling holes, I took a piece of concrete backer board, screwed it into the studs, and I began rocking up my way up the wall with some very large stones for the space that I'm trying to fill. So here I'm more than halfway through the job, I'm just wiping down the rocks, wiping the mortar off the rocks as I go. It helps them stay clean, and it helps you know kind of what you're working with. Now, I only ended up needing 7 or 8 rocks to get up to those holes you see drilled in the top of the concrete board. But for however many you think you need about 3 times that. And you need to pick out by shape. If you see a triangle, you always need to grab that triangle. Rectangles, triangles are harder to come by. That and big coverage rocks. And this rock fit perfect. Now, I haven't done a lot of stone masonry work, but I have laid several flower beds and put a couple of facades on houses out of flat rocks. But I've always had a dream. I've always wanted, before I die, to build a house out of stone. I just think that would be so fun. So cool. It just seems like it's as close to a cave above ground as you can get. I love the way it feels. I love working with it. Now, I really shouldn't have used this much concrete, because concrete and rock expand and contract at different rates, and rock does not expand and contract near as quickly as concrete. So in all likelihood, sometime in the future, I'll have some cracks because I use so much concrete. But I'm working with such a confined space, such a small area, that is really my best hope.
Got the tube set for the exit on the warm air exit for the wall cavity. So I don't know if I explained this yet, but I have 5 holes underneath this big table rock here. So if you're looking right here, underneath here there's 5 holes, just like there's 5 holes right here. Then this is a stud, and this is a stud. So as the cold air goes in that wall cavity and it's heated by the wood stove, I wanted that heat to have a way to come back out of the wall, so it didn't sit back there and cause me any problems or issues. And it's also a way to recover heat long after your fire goes out, right? So this thing will continue to generate heat. These rocks will hold and store heat for a long time, and this will keep heat flowing out of this wall for, you know, hours after the fire has gone out. So I've got down to the last 2 rocks below those, and so this is going to be a big pour. I'm probably going to have to make 2 or 3 batches of quickcrete of mortar. I'll probably run out. I think I've got this and maybe 1 or 2 more pours, but I've got to set these rocks and then build columns in between here so that I can set rocks up there, and then I'm going to come and fill all that in. But I'm gonna set these 2 rocks right now. I've been working to make sure that I've been trying to find 2 rocks that fit in here pretty naturally. And I think I've got those. I'm gonna get those set. After I get these 2 set, and they've set for about an hour, I'm probably gonna go ahead and reinstall the chimney and the wood stove all the way up to the roof, the second roof. So did you get the last bite? Yeah, you got the last bite. You didn't get the last lick yet. Sugars. Oh, them sugars, them good sugars, yeah. Marshmallow princess. You a princess.
Now, I can't be sure, but going back and watching this again, and then knowing what I went through for the 2 days after this, I can't help but feel that maybe when I lifted that stove, that's when everything went downhill. That's when I hurt my back. When I set it back up there on this rock. That's the little bit of tweaking that I needed for my muscles to knot up for 2 days and me to be absolutely miserable, not be able to sleep. I ended up pulling these blue pieces of PEX out while the mortar was still wet. I was able to pull those out with some needle nose pliers, and now there's just a nice clean hole, and there's no blue or color to it, and it looks really good. I'll probably finish out this edge later on, and I think I've got to finish out the other edge later on as well. I didn't really have enough mortar to knock that out this time. So you can see that I went from a 3-inch or a 6-inch gap to about a 3-inch gap, and that's okay because I put those holes in. There's going to be cool air coming in and flowing behind this wall, and this wall is going to stay very cool. It's actually going to radiate heat for hours after the fire goes out.
Love it. Tell me what y'all think in the comments down below. I've got some mopping and to do, and I've got to run to town. I have to start preparing for a storm. I've got to get all these tools put away, and then I've got to, for sure, start preparing for a storm. It looks almost certain that we're going to get a storm, which I know people in Alaska and Canada would be laughing at me for saying so, but a foot of snow here is a big deal. Like your whole, it's different in the South in that all infrastructure can shut down It can literally just go away. The roads will shut down. The grocery stores won't have anything in them. A foot of snow with an inch of ice is going to be nasty. No one's going to have power. No one's going to have heat. And, I'm sure the propane guys just like getting slammed right now. But I've got to get to the grocery store today before all the milk and bread is gone, because I know everybody in Arkansas likes to make milk and bread, some milk sandwiches, milk toast, milk sandwiches. And there won't be any milk or bread after today, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to put some clothes on, get to the store, get back here, get all the tools put up. Hopefully I can find a perfect rock to top that off. If not, I've got a little rock collection over here, and it's got 3 or 4 rocks that I could probably fit in there. And they would be kind of cool to be in there. You always have a rock collection. Well, some people do. People like me, rock hounds, that you have like a crystal, or you have some quartz or something like that. So I found this. And then this was the strangest. This is some metamorphic rock I found on my property here, which I think is crazy. Like, it's the only piece I've ever seen, which makes me think that it came from somewhere else. But it's real. We got a lot of limestone and quartz. This is a cool fossil I found. See if you can see that. It's really cool. Anyway, there's 3 or 4 here that I could stick in that hearth, and it would be a cool way to top it off, with some little rocks that were part of a rock collection. But they also wouldn't be real visible, so it's kind of a waste of good rock.
Now, flash forward 2 days, and I'm sitting in my Polaris on my heated seat, driving to the lake to get into a friend of mine's hot tub at his Airbnb. I'd been laying flat on my back for 2 days in such pain. It was miserable. Absolutely miserable. All the prep work I did, I have plenty of firewood. I had plenty of groceries. Lifting that stove put me out of commission for 2 days solid. Now, just getting out of the house and getting to see the snow, getting to see the ice on the trees, and just going for a ride in the Polaris, sitting in the hot tub, drinking an IPA. That was a game changer. By the end of that day, I had 0 pain in my back. This morning I got up, started doing all the things I wanted to be doing for the last 3 days. Trying to knock snow off of the porch. Trying to get snow off the side-by-side. All the little things you like to do when it's coming down sleet, snow. There's a certain kind of arrogance that we carry around when we're healthy. We move through the woods, across a parking lot, like we're entitled to that movement. Like the hinges and the pistons of the human body are just guaranteed to work until the day they don't. I just spent the last 48 hours getting a real stern lesson in humility. I've been pinned to the floor, flat on my back, watching the ice and snow stack up against the window pane. When your lower back decides to quit on you, the world gets real small, real fast. You aren't a provider. You aren't a worker. You aren't an adventurer. You're just a collection of nerves and muscles that are currently screaming at you for some kind of peace. It's a helpless feeling. I sat there, I lay there thinking about the 500 things I should be doing. Gear that needs mending, wood that needs splitting, life that needs tending to. But the body has a way of vetoing your ambitions. You start to realize that every mile you've walked, every load you've carried, wasn't just your own gift. It was a gift you were borrowing. We take that physical capital for granted every single day. We assume the check is always going to clear. Then you find yourself staring at the ceiling tiles, trying to negotiate with your own spine just so you can crawl to the bathroom. You're not a wildcat anymore, are you? You're not a wildcat. You've been domesticated. You like that wood-burning stove too much. Now, I'm coming out the other side of it now, and I'm feeling a deep sense of gratitude that I honestly didn't have 3 days ago. It's a gratitude born out of being broken. I'm grateful for the simple, boring mechanics of being upright. I'm grateful for the ability to pull on my own boots and stand in the cold air and restack this wood. We're all just one bad twist or one heavy lift away from being sidelined. It's easy to be thankful when you're standing on the top of a mountain. It's a whole lot harder, a whole lot more honest when you're trying to find comfort on a hard floor while the world freezes outside. If you've got your health today, if your back is straight and your legs are moving, don't just use it, appreciate it. Because believe me, the view from the floor is a lot different than the view from the trail. Take care of the machine and be thankful for every step it gives you. If this resonates with you, if you ever had to sit on the sidelines while life keeps moving, I'd appreciate it if you'd join us here. Subscribe to the channel, not just for the sake of the number, but because it helps us build a community of folks who are actually value the grit and the gratitude it takes to live this kind of life. I'd also like to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me about the time you were forced to slow down and what it taught you about the things we usually take for granted. We're all just trying to keep the machine running, and I find there's a lot we can learn from each other's setbacks. There's a common misconception that when the storm stops, the struggle is over. But out here, the mercury is still dropping. It's colder now than it's been all year. This wood isn't melting. It's frozen to the porch boards, covered in a fine skiff of snow that's as dry as flour. 2 days ago, I watched from my back as the wind kicked this pile over. I was helplessly tethered to the floor by a spine that had reached its limit. Now I'm finally out here, reclaiming it piece by piece. There's no heroics in it. It's just the slow, deliberate work of a man who's realized his own fragility. Every log I picked up feels heavier than it did last week. Not because the wood has changed, but because I'm moving with a new kind of awareness. When you're coming off of an injury, you don't just bend over, you calculate. You hinge at the hips, you engage the core, and you pray that the internal architecture holds. You realize that we spent most of our lives moving through the world with a reckless kind of grace. We don't think about the mechanics until the gears start grinding. Stacking this wood in the freezing cold, it's meditation. It's a way of saying thank you to a body that decided to give me a second chance today. The wind is still biting, and there are 500 things I'm behind on, but they can wait. Right now, there's just the grit of the bark against my gloves and the quiet satisfaction of stack growing straight again. We often think we're the masters of our own environment, but 48 hours on your back will cure you of that notion pretty quickly. We're just guests here, living on borrowed strength in favorable weather. When you get a bit of strength back, you don't waste it. You use it to put your house in order, one log at a time. There's a specific kind of silence that settles over the Ouachitas when a storm like this moves through. It's a heavy, insulating cold. It makes every sound, the snap of a pine limb or the crunch of your boots on the snow, echo like a gunshot. Up here, you try to live by the grace of the sun. You bank on your solar panels to keep the lights on in the container. But today the sun is a non-factor. Those panels are locked under a sheet of ice that's too thick to scrape and too cold to melt. When the primary system goes dormant, the reality of off-grid life gets real narrow, real fast. You stop being a philosopher of the woods and you start being a mechanic. There's a lot of talk about self-sufficiency. But when you're pouring 5 gallons of gasoline into a generator, you start to realize just how connected you still are to the rest of the world. This is stored energy. It's a hedge against the weather. Everything out here is a trade-off. You trade the convenience of the city for the quiet of the Ouachitas. But in return, you take on the burden of being your own utility company. When the solar fails, this fuel is the only thing that keeps that shipping container from becoming a cold iron box. You don't waste a drop. You don't rush the process. In this kind of cold, haste is how things get broken.
Sounds like the spark plugs.
Living out here, you realize that your life is only as reliable as your maintenance schedule. We have a tendency to take the work for granted. We assume the gear will run, the heat will hold, and the system will stay upright just because they did yesterday. But out here, in the dead of January freeze, you don't assume anything. You check the oil because that oil is the only thing standing between you and very cold, very dark night. It's a humble task, wiping a metal stick in the freezing wind. But it's the price of admission for staying in these mountains. You respect the machine, or the machine will leave you behind.
Oh yeah. The oil's almost frozen. There's plenty of it in there. It's just coagulated, like really thick. Man, let's see, where's the... Yeah, breather's good, air filter's good. Just broke it a little bit. Broke it loose, let it wiggle.
And there it is. That's the sound of the backup holding. It's easy to be grateful when the sun is out and the batteries are full. It's a lot harder to find that gratitude when you're working in the dirt and the ice. But there's a satisfaction in it that you can't get anywhere else. It's the knowledge that when the systems failed, you had a plan. And you had the hands to execute it. The ice isn't going anywhere tonight. And these mountains aren't getting any warmer. But the generator is humming. The fuel is topped off and the container will be warm. For now, that's plenty. We'll just keep the engine running and wait for the lights to break. That's about it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.